Imagine you're standing in a room where everything looks calm on the surface. Your posture is steady. Your voice is even. Your expression is composed. But inside you, something is pacing behind a locked door. Something restless. Something unheard. Something that's been knocking for years, maybe decades. And every time it knocks, you whisper to yourself, "Not now. Don't make a scene. Stay in control. Push it down." Now imagine that one day the knocking grows louder. Not violent, not explosive, just insistent. As if some part of you is done being ignored. As if it has waited long enough. And you realize you've spent half your life trying to silence something that was never trying to harm you. You've treated a signal like a threat. You've treated a messenger like an intruder. You've treated a part of yourself like the enemy. You've been taught your whole life that anger is dangerous, that it makes you irrational, impulsive, unlikable, out of control. You've been told good people don't get angry, mature people don't get angry, calm people don't get angry. And so you crafted a version of yourself that looked peaceful, agreeable, steady, polite. A version that knows how to swallow discomfort and replace it with a practiced smile. But have you ever wondered, at what cost? What if anger isn't the wildfire you fear, but the smoke that reveals where something is burning? What if anger isn't an enemy to defeat, but a signal you never learned to read? What if the thing you've spent years suppressing is the one thing that could finally lead you back to yourself? You may feel uneasy even considering this, because it challenges everything you've been conditioned to believe. You've always assumed anger means losing control. But what if suppressing it is what's actually controlling you? What if the real danger isn't feeling anger, but never understanding it? Somewhere inside you, your anger has been waiting for this moment. The moment you stop running from it and finally ask, "What are you trying to tell me?" And that question is the doorway everything else has been leading toward. Think back to your childhood, not the memories you like to revisit, but the ones tucked into the corners. The first time you felt anger rise in your chest. Maybe it was because something felt unfair. Maybe someone crossed a line. Maybe you were hurt, dismissed, misunderstood. But before you could express it, someone stepped in and taught you the script. Don't be difficult. Don't talk back. That's not a big deal. Stop overreacting. And little by little you learned that expressing anger risked losing approval, affection, belonging. You learned that silence was safer than honesty. You learned that compliance was rewarded, while emotion was corrected. So, you pushed it all down. You hid it, buried it, denied it, smothered it, not because you wanted to, but because you believed it was the only way to stay loved. This is the moment anger moved into your shadow, as Jung would say. Not gone, just banished. Not erased, just exiled. And everything exiled eventually becomes distorted. Anger didn't vanish, it went underground. And from there, it began shaping you in ways you never saw. Repressed anger doesn't evaporate. It leaks. It reroots. It disguises itself. It becomes anxiety. It becomes irritability. It becomes passive aggression. It becomes self-criticism. It becomes the numbness you mistake for peace. It becomes the tightness in your chest that you call stress. It becomes the exhaustion that comes from pretending you're unhurt. Most people don't avoid anger. They avoid the transformation it demands. Philosophers understood this long before psychologists measured it. Nietzsche believed emotions like anger were expressions of life force, the raw will to live authentically. He said the real tragedy isn't anger. It's the domestication of the human spirit. When you suppress anger, you don't become saintly. You become small. You become obedient. You become easy to manage. Society praises that. Systems thrive on compliant individuals. Workplaces prefer the ones who don't question. Families feel more comfortable with the ones who stay silent. Culture rewards people who swallow their truth to maintain harmony. But harmony at the cost of the self is not peace. It's imprisonment. You think you're suppressing anger to keep the world calm. But the world has simply convinced you that your discomfort is the price of acceptance. You've been trained to fear your own inner compass. And here's the paradox. Anger is the least understood emotion, yet the most honest one. It never appears without reason. It never comes empty-handed. Behind every wave of anger, there is something it's trying to protect. A boundary, a value, a wound, a need. The question isn't, how do I get rid of my anger? The question is, what truth is my anger trying to reveal? Now, imagine all the times you said, "It's fine," when something in you tightened. You felt it, the subtle contraction in your stomach, the slight pressure in your chest, the brief moment your breath stalled. Your body noticed long before your mind did. Your nervous system recognized the violation. A boundary crossed, a need dismissed, a truth ignored. But you told yourself to stay calm. You told yourself, it's not worth it. It's easier this way. I shouldn't make a big deal. I'm probably overreacting. Each time you did that, a small fracture formed inside you. Not painful enough to stop you, but deep enough to accumulate. Every suppressed truth becomes sediment, layering over your clarity, until one day you wake up emotionally distant from your own life. This is the cost of ignoring anger. A slow erosion of the self so subtle you don't notice, until you realize you can't feel much of anything anymore. Anger that isn't expressed outward turns inward. It becomes self-doubt, self-restriction, self-blame. It becomes the belief that your needs are burdens, that your boundaries are inconveniences, that your voice is optional. You may think this protects your relationships, but relationships built on your silence require your disappearance. And a connection that demands your erasure is not connection. It's dependency masquerading as harmony. Over time, your identity bends towards safety. You learn to anticipate other people's comfort before your own. You swallow discomfort in the name of avoiding conflict. You shrink to make others feel bigger. You apologize for existing too loudly. Your anger doesn't make you dangerous. Suppressing it does. Because the more you deny it, the more unpredictable it becomes. Not in violent explosions, but in subtle distortions. Withdrawal, resentment, bitterness, numbness. These are emotional shadows cast by truth avoided too long. Neuroscience confirms what philosophy intuited. Suppressed anger rewires you. It increases cortisol. It disrupts your emotional regulation. It primes your nervous system for chronic stress. It fragments your internal sense of coherence. No one tells you this. All you hear is, "Don't get angry." But no one teaches you what happens when anger has nowhere to go. You end up living in performance mode, playing the role of the calm, agreeable person. You tell yourself this is maturity, but maturity is not the absence of anger. It's the understanding of it. You've confused numbness with peace, silence with strength, avoidance with control. And the deepest cost of all? When you ignore anger long enough, you lose the ability to know what you truly want. You drift into jobs, relationships, environments, habits you never chose consciously. Your life becomes a collection of compromises, not decisions. A sequence of tolerances, not desires. Anger was never the problem. Avoidance was. Silence was. Self-betrayal was. But here's where everything changes. The rebellion begins in a moment so small you could miss it. The moment you admit, quietly, honestly, "I am angry." Not in the explosive sense, not in the dramatic sense, but in the truthful sense. You reclaim the part of you that learned to hide. You let the exiled self return. You acknowledge the signal instead of suffocating it. The first step is naming it. Not, "I'm stressed." Not, "I'm overwhelmed." Not, "I'm fine, just tired." Say the real word. The forbidden one. The one you swallowed for years. Anger. Naming it is an act of rebellion. It's shadow integration. It's the beginning of reclaiming your inner authority. Because emotions lose their chaos the moment you stop pretending they're something else. The second step is asking, what is my anger trying to protect? There is always something beneath the surface. A need, a wound, a truth, a boundary. Anger is a bodyguard for your deepest values. The third step is differentiating between the wound and the story you attach to it. They ignored me. I'm invisible. They criticized me. I'm unworthy. They dismissed me. I don't matter. When you separate the wound from the story, the wound becomes healable instead of identity-defining. The fourth step is channeling the signal into action, not reaction. Anger doesn't want you to lash out. It wants alignment. It wants honesty. It wants boundaries. It wants restoration. The fifth step is reconstructing your identity around courage instead of compliance. You stop being the person who avoids conflict and become the person who stands inside truth. You stop shrinking and start taking up your rightful space. The sixth step is drawing boundaries that aren't apologies. A boundary isn't aggression, it's clarity. It filters people. The ones who fear your boundaries were benefiting from your lack of them. The seventh step is transforming anger from poison to purity. Owned anger becomes calm, precise, grounded. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer explode, you express. You no longer fear the signal, you follow it. And slowly you evolve into a person who is harder to manipulate, harder to silence, harder to control. Not because you resist everything, but because you finally honor yourself. History's most awakened individuals weren't devoid of anger. They were guided by it. Their anger wasn't chaos, it was clarity. It illuminated what needed to change. It propelled them into truth. It was the friction that began their transformation. And now, you reach the final, life-altering truth. The truth all of this has been building toward. Your anger is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you. It is the spark in the dark room, the part of you that refuses to settle, the part that remembers who you were before fear taught you to disappear, the part that believes you deserve a life where your boundaries are honored, your needs matter, and your voice counts. Anger is not the threat. It is the inner compass pointing toward the life you abandoned. It is not looking backward. It is pulling you forward, toward alignment, toward truth, toward integrity, toward the self you were meant to become. You don't need to fight your anger. You need to listen to it, decode it, honor it. Because anger, at its core, is the voice of the future you, the version of you who refuses to live small. And when you finally stop silencing that voice, your life stops being a performance and starts becoming yours.